Welcome back to the 44-Day Challenge. I'm Scott Duke. You're inside the Wellstand studio. We are trying every day for 44 days to get as much information out to you as we possibly can on how to be successful selling your company. Why? Because 80% of companies never sell, which is a devastating fact. And the main reason why is the owners do not have the proper education, information, tools at hand to make sure that they're successful. We're trying to change that with the Wellstand Group by taking knowledge out of these guys every single day. Today's book is How to Sell Your Business for the Price You Want by Mark Blayney. A lot of what we're covering is how to increase your price. And today is a big day for that. We're going to spend more time over at the whiteboard going through some examples that came out of this book. But first we'll drop into the first quote from Mark Blayney, which I love. It's almost more of a dialogue here on comparing your business sales to selling your car and what the key differences are. Off the top, Mark compares selling your business to a car and how it is drastically different. This is really enjoyable. When you sell your car, you do not expect to worry about giving out the information to prospective buyers about the car. To worry about advertising the car is even for sale. To be asked to lend the purchaser money to buy the car. The final price to be uncertain until you have worked out exactly how much petrol is in the tank. To be expected to have to give written confirmation the car has not broken down in the last 2 years. To be required to give your purchaser driving lessons. To promise the new owner that you won't buy a new car. The final price to be dependent on how well the car keeps running in the next 2 years, and to consider the tax implications of the sale. It's almost comical, but these are all things that you have to do when selling a business that make it completely different from selling any other product. That's quote number 1 from Mark. The next quote is one of Mark's golden rules. At the end of every single chapter, he sums everything up into a golden rule, which I will personally thank him for because it made putting this video together a whole heck of a lot easier. And this golden rule is on valuation. So he says, remember, a valuation is just a valuation. Your business is really worth only what someone is prepared to pay for it. You guys have heard this before if you've been following the 44-day steps. Decide on your drop dead price in advance. So know your walk away price. Set a reasonable target price so that you can attract buyers. And this is the real reason why I'm doing this. The first one to mention price loses. So that's part of a negotiation tactic, but as much as you can, get your buyer to put their price out there first. All right, guys, I'm gonna do the big takeaway of this book first, and then I'm gonna go over to the board and we're gonna talk about how to maximize your price. And the big takeaway is due diligence. If you want to know more information about due diligence, this is the book for you. There's over 100, there might be 150 pages of this book, nearly half of it, that's just on the due diligence process. Extremely thorough. So you can go and check that out, How to Sell Your Business for the Price You Want by Mark Blayney. You can pick that up on Amazon if due diligence is really where there's a big question mark for you. Okay, let's head over to the board. Some great visuals that came out of Mark's book on how to increase your price that I have here. I'm going to take you through them. If you're listening to this on one of our podcasts, you can head over to YouTube, the 44-Day Challenge. You'll be able to see the charts here, but I'll do the best I can for those that are just listening to the audio of this. All right, number 1 is buyers purchase trends. And we've talked about this a whole heck of a lot. But if your company is trending up, like company A here, the buyer is likely going to have a purchase price that's along this arrow because they're seeing an upward trend. If your company's flattened out and you're over here in your company B, the buyer's likely going to pay you exactly what they see historically, and that price level is going to be flat. Then if you're C over here and you're on the decline of your business, that's going to be acknowledged by the purchaser, and they're likely going to catch you on this downward trend, and they're going to pay you a price that is less than what you've done in previous years. So that's the buyer purchase trend piece. So if we move over to profiling profits, this is year over year if you look at your company. So company A here you can see is kind of up and down a little bit, but mostly follows a flat trend. Company B grew quite quickly over a period and then flattened out again. Company C is kind of all over the map. It's hard to predict where they're going to be in the future. And then company D has just steadily been increasing over time and seems to just be clicking the way up. So if you were to purchase a company, and again, one of the things we're always trying to remember is think in the buyer's shoes. If we were the buyer coming to look at your company, which company would you want to buy? And obviously it's a no-brainer. It's company D. It's just slowly and steadily increasing. So our job as a seller is just to give confidence that that is going to continue to rise, and then we're going to get a higher price. If we're company C, they don't know. It could drop down tomorrow, right? Company B, they have a pretty good idea. It's just going to keep tracking along, but there's nothing that's really going to excite them about that. And that's the same as company A. They're just basically flat. So we want to be increasing our profits, no brainer, of course, as much as we can. But ideally, we have this trend showing because this is the profile of profits and kind of goes back to the purchasing trends. Okay, and then the next one, and this is interesting because if you have a company and you sell it for all cash, are you going to sell it for more, or are you going to sell it for less than if you take on a seller's note, in that you lend the buyer some money to purchase your company? And this chart was really good that I pulled out of Mark's book here. So he says, up here at the top on the left-hand side, we have all paper, all right? So this is, maybe you finance them entirely, or maybe it's an earnout that you're earning over the future, and it's all on paper, so there's no cash up front. The next is down here is all cash. So all cash is what we want. Of course, all cash is king. And then we have our risk profile. So if we're all paper and we don't know we're going to get paid into the future, of course, our risk profile is much higher, all right? And then if we're all cash, our risk profile is lower. But look how this affects price, right? So if we're getting all cash deal and we have really low risk, our price is inherently going to be lower. Whereas if we're holding a bit of seller note or buyer note on this, then our price can be pushed higher. Somewhere in this graph is where you're going to land, but it's just nice to acknowledge that the more risk you have, the more you're going to be able to demand as far as price is concerned. Okay, there we go. Trying to get through the material as much as we can, keeping these YouTube videos short so you guys won't lose interest in them. But that was day 12 of the 44-day challenge. Join us again tomorrow on all our social channels, and we'll get you more great information like this so you can maximize the price of your company when you go to sell.